everybody, I'm Dave Ringo, and we're going to talk about the things that we learned from Kerblam. Now, I actually posted a Kerblam commentary already, which I now deleted because I felt like going over it again that I missed some things, that I didn't discuss everything that I should discuss, and so here's a redo. I hope you don't mind. So, what do we know about the company Kerblam and the planet it comes from and so forth? Well, first of all, Kerblam is the doctor says, the largest retailer in the galaxy. It's a huge company. We're actually finding ourselves on the moon of Candoka. Candoka is the planet which is described as a human colony, probably an Earth colony because there's a lot of Earth culture still here that we can see on this planet, but it's in the future. And Graham makes a joke about himself being 310 years old. And so I'm taking that to mean that if he had actually lived from the day of his birth all the way until the time of this episode, he would be 310 years old. And that's why he said it. So we can infer then the date of the adventure. Now, we don't really know exactly Graham's birth date, but we do know Bradley Walsh's birth date, the actor. He was born in 1960. So that would make, if he has the same birth year as Graham, that would make the date of this adventure 2270. That seems about right. The doctor does one of her little throwaway lines about meeting somebody famous, and she says that she met Roger Wilco at one time. I didn't even know that Roger Wilco was a person, but yeah. But what about the company Kerblam? Now, it's obviously a parody of Amazon, but it also has a little bit of the postal service in there as well. As a matter of fact, the company appears to be government-owned and completely run by computers. There are, in fact, no owners, no human owners of the company. They're never mentioned. There's no Jeff Bezos here. There aren't even any rich people mentioned. There's no, usually with a large company like this, we see some bigwig who's in charge of the company, who's the villain of the story. But no, we know the company is completely 100% computer-led because at the end of the story, Judy Maddox, I think her name is, she's the head of people, she says that they're going to make a change. And from now on, the company's going to be people-led. So that means the company was not people-led before. There are no people in charge of the company. And we're also given a little bit of a window into the economic system of this society. And it seems like writer Pete McTighe makes an effort not to bring up capitalism at all. So, for example, we never hear the word profit once come up. There are, in fact, the words buy and purchase aren't even in the story. People are said to have ordered things from the company, but no one is said to have bought anything. Nevertheless, they probably are buying things because the employees receive wages, so there is money. But did you notice something else? There's only ever one class of people ever seen in the story. There is no upper class, there's no 1%, there's no elites ever shown in the story. Only working class people. That's all we ever see. So the suggestion is that in the future, perhaps that's all there is. Only the proletariat and nobody else? Who knows? But the fact that they aren't mentioned means that the writer purposely is omitting them from the story because he doesn't want you to think about that. Okay, it's not about them, if they even exist, which I doubt whether they even do. Kerblam is owned probably by the government, so that's why it's more like the Postal Service, because the government can make changes to it. We're told at one point that the people power protest movements resulted in a change in the labor laws of the planet of Candoka, which made it so that all companies are to be run only 90% by computers and by robots, okay, only 90% automated, and that the other 10% must be employed people. They did this because people needed the jobs. Okay. Clearly, the writer, Pete McTighe, is trying to make a point here that automation could eventually take over all the jobs. And the only thing that's preventing that from occurring 100% is government laws. I don't think he's offering a solution to the problem. He's just alerting us to this problem that could happen in the future. It's already beginning to happen, right? Yeah, we're told that jobs are hard to come by, and we're told that half the galaxy is out of work. There is a union because Dan, the character that Yaz runs into, he asks if she's from the union. So there is a union. Now, frequently we hear the word the system or the systems. When it's used in the singular, the system, it means the computer system that runs Kerblam on that particular moon. I assume it's Kerblam, the whole company. But there are other companies like Kerblam, and they are also run by computer systems. And so sometimes you'll hear the systems referred to in the plural. The systems, the computer systems, the artificial intelligences that run these plants. So then we get to our villain, Charlie. Seems like a nice kid. Turns out, now here's seems to be a popular misunderstanding of Charlie's character. And the question is Charlie left-wing politically or right-wing? I've heard some people suggest that he was a left-winger. But the fact is, Charlie is not an advocate for the workers at all. He doesn't hang out with the workers. He expresses no interest in the workers whatsoever. He is not in solidarity with them. He doesn't talk about the working conditions at the plant. He's a loner. He's down in the basement working by himself, which is exactly what he wants. He got the job under false pretenses. He doesn't have the job to, make a living or feed his family. He got the job for the sole purpose of infiltrating the company so that he could kill people. He is a domestic terrorist, in much the same way as a Dylan Roof type character, right? He's a young white man who is upset about humans being replaced. Now, I don't know if you know this or not, but a very in vogue a right-wing conspiracy theory these days is the theory of the Great Replacement. How white people are being replaced by immigrants, people of color, people of other religions. Civilization is under threat and so forth. And that's who Charlie represents, those kinds of people. Right? He's worried about the robots replacing humans. That's the one concern. That's his all-consuming passion that he has, that the robots are trying to take over. And he tells the doctor, right now it's only 10% humans in the workforce. It's going to be 7%, then 5%. Before you know it, there's going to be nothing. Right? He's worried about humans being replaced. And that is the motivation for his terrorist act. So Pete McTighe is trying to tell us here that Charlie, right, is one of these alt-right, violent, right-wing, fascist type young men who've been radicalized. And now they're against society, they want to lash out and do something, and they think that they're being heroes or something like that, but obviously they're not. So we see the doctor sticking up for the computers. She says the systems are not the problem. The systems that are running the plants, right? The artificial intelligences, they're not the problem. Technology is not evil. Technology is neutral. It's a tool, right? It's how you use the technology that matters. She says it's the people who use the technology and exploit the technology, they're the problem. So Charlie is wrong-headed to think that somehow the bots are the enemy or the computers are the enemy. They have nothing to do with it, all right? And he, in fact, has made himself the villain by using technology to commit atrocious deeds, right? In this case, it's not a conspiracy theory that humans are being replaced. They actually are being replaced. But that still doesn't give Charlie the excuse to kill people, right? Even if he thinks it's for a good cause. And we know that at the end, there's a major change made because Judy Maddox says, we're not going to have this as a computer-led company anymore. It's going to be a people-led company. That's a major switch, a major overhaul. So yeah, Charlie is right that, the computers were taking people's jobs, but they're going to make some changes so that's not the case anymore. And now you might say, well then, if Charlie hadn't alerted everybody to this problem, then they wouldn't have done that. Well, I'm sure people knew about this problem already, or there wouldn't have been those protests. But that still doesn't give him the right to commit genocide or some terrible atrocity in order to affect some change. Yeah. So those are some of the things that we got out of Kerblam this week. It was an interesting episode, and I'll be back with you next week to talk about the Witchfinders. So stay tuned. Don't forget to subscribe.